when your connection with the Lord gets stronger, the enemy will try to deter you from keeping your relationship with God by sending temptations through people, sending through temptations through enemy personally coming to try to talk to you. And I'm just thankful that I realized how great the Lord is and how amazing it is to be in a beautiful relationship with Him, and that I was able to see where I had gone wrong and where I was unknowingly going against God, in the sense of I used to wear the hymns of hand all the time. I had a photo thing with the hymns of hand on it with the eye in it, not even realizing that that was the all-seeing eye. I didn't realize that the hymns of hand was against God. I remember I saw it and I was like, it was a necklace. I was like, oh, this is like cute. And I remember it said it on there. So I immediately Googled what it meant. And it was just like, oh, it just means like happiness and good fortune and this and that. I was like, oh, okay, cool. But not realizing that like it was going against God. I didn't know that because it didn't say anything about that online. And I didn't realize all the other stuff through different influences that I was in was going against God. I didn't realize that I was practicing witchcraft. I didn't know that. And again, that's why I feel like the Lord allowed those things to happen, though they weren't sent from Him, for me to understand and have a true spiritual awakening with the Lord, of understanding all that I was in because of the influences around me. And that's why certain situations happened to me, because I had opened spiritual doors that didn't need to be open by messing around in witchcraft based off different people influencing me, making it seem like it was okay when they knew that it wasn't okay. But they knew that, because like the enemy always, what he does is tries to take as many people, it's like an army, let me recruit as many people as I can to go to this side, and people who are on that side are very clever with how they do their recruiting. And I didn't realize in that sense that I was being recruited, if that makes sense. So because I was unknowingly recruited and I fell for it, I opened up so many spiritual, and there were times where I'm like, I could feel, because I've always been sensitive to energy, in the sense of I could feel when someone had dark energy. But because I was surrounded by dark energy from so many people for such a long period of time, for years, like in the sense of being in the same household, it made me numb to realizing that they were dark. Because when I was away from them and would encounter them, I could sense it. Like when the move happened, I was sitting here in the room, and at the exact moment my sister's car pulled into the front of the apartment building, at the same time her car pulled up, immediately the Lord just told me, look out the window. And when I looked out the window, I was like, that's my sister. I couldn't see her. Like the window, like literally the side window and the front was dark. Crazy, right? So I couldn't actually visibly see who it was, but based on the type of car and what I felt, I was like, that's my sister. And sure enough, I saw her down the hallway later on that day, and it sure enough was her. there's a when I'm away from it, I can sense it. I can sense when it's close. But here's another thing. The Lord during this time, because I have strengthened my relationship with him, that even with being around it in the sense of like who my roommate was, I could still sense it. I could sense her getting ready to come home before she would even come home. I could literally feel her energy getting ready to walk through the door. And it's not in the sense of like feeling it, like taking it in, just like, let me change it, not feeling it. I can sense her energy before she actually would come through the door. And what the Lord has also showed me is I'm anointed in a way that I never knew. And what I'm realizing is my grandmother, rest in peace, Grandma. We love you so much. My grandmother saw it in me. She saw that I was anointed. She was a true church woman. And she saw that I was anointed. And she kept me in church. And she had me in the choir. And she really was there. Now, what I'm realizing through research and stuff, which is why this particular video is on Patreon. Hello, Patreon family. My grandma was I didn't want to believe it until recently, where I'm realizing how everything aligns, where it just so happens that the age of one of my sisters, it was her 6th year. Her birthday is in the 6th month. And we moved away because everything reminded a particular person, my mom, allegedly, this is all alleged, of her. But the only person in the room at the hospital at the time that my grandma passed was my mom. She was the one also taking care of her. And they had done all the things that they needed to do to remove the cancer from her body. But visibly, she was still deteriorating. Now, the reason that I feel like this is true is my mom lost her job taking care of her mom. And there was money, insurance money given after she passed. And so many people in that industry do sacrifices. And I know that they're in this world because there was a photo that I recently came across where